and welcome back to this I-24 News Evening Edition. I'm Lucy Arish, and this is the Daily Debate. The World Bank has issued a report stating that Israeli restrictions in Area C of the West Bank cost the Palestinians more than $3.4 billion a year. Joining me tonight is Ashrf Zughaiyer, which he is not yet in the studio. He's running a little late. He's getting right in, and the spokesman of the prisoners' families in Eastern Jerusalem, and Kalev Myers, the founder of the Jerusalem Institute of Justice. Mr. Zughaiyer, please sit down, take a breath, and we will start with Mr. Kalev Myers. Kalev, let's try just to explain to our viewers before we begin, what is Area A, what is Area B, what is Area C, because for our viewers it sounds like letters.
Okay, so going back to the Oslo Accords in 1994, which were supposed to be an interim agreement moving towards a final agreement between the Palestinians and the Israelis. They split up all the territories within Israel and the Palestinian areas into A, B, and C. And A being under Israeli military sovereignty and administrative sovereignty, B being under Palestinian military and administrative sovereignty, and C being under Israeli military sovereignty and Palestinian administrative sovereignty. And so it all depends on the level of autonomy that each government has. I hope I didn't confuse you more than...
No, you didn't. For me, it's very clear. For everybody who lives here in Israel, it's very clear. But so what is the meaning of this report that was issued yesterday? $3.4 billion. That's a lot of money.
It's difficult. It's hard for me to know exactly where they came up with these numbers. But what's undeniable is the fact that over the last 19 years, since the signing of the Oslo Accords in 1994, the Palestinian Authority has received in donations from the international community between $30 to $40 billion. Taking international currency influx into account, that would be more than 25 times per capita the amount of money donated from the United States to Europe after World War II under the Marshall Plan for the whole reconstruction of the European economy. What that means in simple terms is this: with all the money given to the Palestinian Authority for development over the last 19 years, we could have reconstructed Europe's economy 19 times. What happened to this money? And why is it that the average Palestinian is still living in abject poverty? Is this just an Israeli issue? I have my doubts.
What do you have to say to him, Mr. Zughaiyer?
First of all, good evening for all of you. Good evening for people in Europe and in France whom they hearing us right now. I hear what you said. Part of it is true and part of it is not, because this money you're talking about, it's not all of it money. It's 90% from this money, it's service. So when you give me a service and you write on me on the bill that you give me service in 2 billion or 3 billion, I didn't see the money in my hand. I will tell you, really, we have some people whom they stole money. We have. I'm not saying no, but it's not the numbers that you see speaking about. Besides, to build economy in anywhere in the world, I guess people, our people, maybe the Arab people whom they want to invest money, they can't. Because the situation, the political situation we have, they threaten, they see it all the time. They don't have no security, no insurance for their money to come in to invest. This is one part.
Talk a little bit from your personal experience. You had fabric in the West Bank, and how does an owner of a fabric in the West Bank try to cope the daily life situation?
On our private account, our private economy, our private money, what we have as small factories for dresses, let's say, or shoemakers in Hebron, dresses in Jerusalem, in Ramallah, in Bethlehem. Many employees lived from this jobs, which is small job, hand jobs, most of it. And we used to be successful with these jobs, and we used to make good money before. But right now we have problems with the taxes. We have problems with the movement. When you move and you want to cross any military station, the searching take you half day, And not only that, besides, when you have a special political situation and the military close the area, and today there is no difference between A and B and C, because the army could go to Ramallah, to the place where Abbas sitting. And all of us, we know that the martyr, Mr. Arafat, used to be under the military Israeli situation for more than 3 years, and he can't move from there.
So let's try to make the separation between the officials and between the people, because the officials, and there is a big criticism among the Palestinians about officials taking money, maybe, and we're not blaming here anybody, but maybe they're taking the money to their own pockets. A lot of criticism even about Su'a Arafat when she left, and she's living right now outside the Palestinian territories. How does a person actually cope inside when the officials are doing what they're doing? How can a person cope when he needs basically this money?
Well, I think we need, again, and you mentioned Arafat. Arafat's own accountants, after he passed away, found personal savings of $1.3 billion in his bank accounts. According to Arabic sources, Mahmoud Abbas, his net worth is already over $100 million. They say he receives a salary of $1 million a month. That's 30 times higher than the salary of Barack Obama. 90 times higher than the salary of Benjamin Netanyahu. So the money that's coming in from international aid is not filtering down to actually develop modern infrastructure, create jobs, and build an economy within the Palestinian Authority.
According to what you're saying is from the amounts and the numbers that you're talking about, I needed to see right now in the West Bank, not like Tel Aviv. I needed to see like Paris, Berlin, actually growing right next to us. Where does the money go?
Well, one of the problems is a lack of transparency. And when you have a Western democratic state with freedom of expression and freedom of assembly and freedom to criticize and investigate your leaders, then you can hold people to a high standard of accountability. Unfortunately, in the Palestinian Authority, all of this money is moving behind the table through private bank accounts, and it's very, very difficult to track. There's actually no real freedom of expression in the Palestinian Authority. Just over the last year, 3 people received prison sentences in Palestinian courts for putting a joke about Mahmoud Abbas on their Facebook page. 2 gentlemen received 6 months in prison, 1 received a year and a half. Now, if that's the level of suppressing freedom of expression, how is anybody going to hold these people to account on the way that these funds are used? Am I denying the fact that it's difficult to build businesses when you have problems of transportation because of the security fence and because of the checkpoints? Absolutely not. That's a very difficult problem that both Israel and the Palestinian Authority need to deal with. And my heart goes out to people with these small factories in the territories. But at the same time, I think it is not helping the problem. It's exacerbating the problem to continue dumping funds into the Palestinian Authority without proper transparency, without making sure that we're monitoring them and leveraging them to make sure that we're building modern industry, creating jobs, and helping the people on the street in the Palestinian Authority.
So I will ask you, Mr. Zughaiyer, how come the people on the street don't go and criticize their own officials and get out on the streets, go out to the streets and say, stop taking our money?
I guess it's not like that. There is something different than what he say. When somebody make a joke on Mr. Abbas or anybody in our Palestinian leaders,
I'm not talking about.
It's a
I'm
part
not talking
of being
about
polite
specifically
or
the
not
joke.
polite.
I'm not talking
about business and economy. I guess Israel, who's the responsible on moving the economy,
I'm not talking.
moving.
Just leave Israel
Let me
aside.
finish.
No.
Okay, let me
no,
finish.
I don't want to let you finish
Okay.
this time because you always go to the Israeli point,
Yeah,
and I
I tell
want
you
to
why.
ask you
I
about
tell
the
you why.
Palestinian point. Why does the Palestinians don't go outside and criticize their own government, their own officials, that they should criticize them? Because if you want a change, you should bring the change from inside.
Okay, we make the change from inside, but there is something that the people in the world have to know. When the employees in our country, in Paris, when they sign the agreements, he gets paid 1/3 of the employees in Israel. And both of them, they eat the same food and they drink the same water and they pay the same price for the electricity, the same price for the oil, and also they pay the same taxes. I guess this is not fair because you can't build business in this way. Besides, banks whom they came and opened in the West Bank. And instead of giving money to invest, to make factories and to make industry and to make business to the people, they only give you money to buy a car, which you pay it over 8 years or 7 years, and after that you throw it on the garbage. So you have nothing being planned to bring benefit to the people. This is the main thing in our life. But if I want to speak about leaders, and all over the world, leaders and everywhere.
You don't think that there is a place for inside criticism inside the Palestinian society?
And the Palestinians shouting and they're saying, and sometimes they go out, and maybe you remember many times in Ramallah and in Gaza, they went out to shout and to ask the government to get money for life, to get bread, to get everything they need for their life. You saw that in television. But this is not enough. The main thing that I am, as an owner for a factory for dresses, I could hire many people. I know that in the agreement we must have 3 cities in the industry areas in the border of 67 between the Palestinians and the Israelis to give jobs to big number of the Palestinians to life. When I see Israel importing employees from outside the world, and the money in Israel going to outside instead of having it inside and hiring, the Palestinians as employees, this is one of the problems we have, because Israel is responsible on the rules and the thing they put in the agreement on the Mr. Abbas and all the Palestinian leaders, that they have to go through 1 and 2 and 3.
You're saying an agreement, and you're saying an agreement, and somebody from the other side agreed on. On the Palestinian side agreed also to these terms, but do you have something to say about that?
I want to say, Mr. Munayr, that I'm building a house right now within Israel, and everybody who's building my house happens to be from Hebron. They're bussed in every day. They build a house. They have jobs. I'm paying them, and it's completely fine. They have no problem
How many
reaching
houses you built in Israel? Let's say the number of the employees we have sitting without work right now, it's more than 35%.
That's true, but over 70% of
the
Palestinian citizens in Area C.
3 cities, 3 industry areas.
So over 70% of the Palestinians in Area C are actually employed by Israeli businesses. So there is this trade between the Palestinians and the Israelis. But I want to come back to the first point that we're making about the declaration of the World Bank today, because the World Bank is putting all of the responsibility for the poor condition of the Palestinian economy only on Israel. There's no question that we need to move forward with the peace talks and come up with a settlement that'll create freedom of travel and freedom of work and help the economy. But it's not just Israel's responsibility.
When Israel doesn't give back the taxes and make it as a hostages to take things from Mr. Abbas on the other Palestinian leaders. I pay if you do so and so. I think that this is not fair. This is not a way to let 2 people live on the same area and build themselves as a normal life.
Israel sometimes it has always handed over the taxes, the customs that you're talking about. Sometimes, though, it postpones the payment of these taxes while missiles are being fired upon us from Palestinian territories. And so they say, if an entity is going to be firing missiles on our citizens, on our homes, then we're not going to be funding that entity at the same time. When the missiles stop, the money comes through, and that's a historical fact.
Okay, but do you think that this is not a main point to build the economy, to build the industry and things like that? When they don't have money, they will stop in the middle of the road all the time, and when they want to continue, they're going to lose?
I think the main point is that the Palestinian Authority needs to do soul searching regarding where all of the international aid is flowing to. And the World Bank needs to be asking questions. How did you receive $30 to $40 billion over the last 19 years and you have absolutely nothing to show for it? That is a major problem. I think if there could be financial accountability, if there could be transparency, then we can make sure that these funds are actually going to help Palestinians on the street.
Yeah, but as I told you, 90% of these funds, it's not money, it's service. So you give me a service and you write on the account on me, this is a service, cost so and
Yeah,
so.
but we're talking.
It's not money to build industry. It's not money to build things like that.
So where does this money go?
Europe, they come in and they make a road for me, and they write this road costs you, let's say, $5 million.
No, I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you.
This is a service.
I have a question
it's not
about
something that they built for me.
You say the money services, yet the Palestinian Authority has built the biggest police force on the face of the earth per capita than any other nation available. So there's money that is flung to things that you don't need.
Okay, but Israel need this police to make the security for the Israeli
Gentlemen,
government.
I have to stop. I have to stop this conversation with you. I have to stop this conversation with you. Times just fly by with you too. Thank you very much, Mr. Khaled Myers. Thank you very much, Mr. Munir and Ms. Mira Zughaiyer. You were late today, so you had less time. We're going out for a small break, 10 minutes break, an update from our news desk, and then we're back. Don't go anywhere.